Students, today we are going to continue with the lesson sound, and this time we will be learning about sound waves and characteristics of sound. This is part number 2 of the lesson sound. So let us begin with this. Sound waves, as you might have heard, it travels through air, liquids or solids. So it can travel through gases, liquids as well as solids in the form of waves. But it do requires medium. Without any of this medium, it will not be able to travel. It can travel through gas, liquids or gases, but without this medium, it cannot travel. Now, talking about sound, since it is a wave, we must have certain understanding of the waves. So, today we will be discussing about the waves and oscillations in more detailed way, because if you want to understand sound, you have to understand the characteristics and also the properties of the sound. Now, talking about waves, there are two parts of the waves. This is a kind of sinusoidal wave, and there are two parts of it. One is crest, which is this bulgy part, and this hollow part, or you can say a U-shaped part, is called as trough. So bulgy part above, this is crest, and below it is trough. Okay, so these are the two parts of a wave, of one wave, and together crest and trough together they form a cycle. Okay, now to understand the oscillation and the properties of the waves, you can take one simple example of a pendulum. Okay, though it is though the example is little simple, but the uses are tremendous. There are a lot of uses. In fact, because of this pendulum, today we are able to tell the accurate time, because in early days, because of this pendulum, we made use of this pendulum to prepare clocks, in fact. Okay, oscillations. A simple pendulum consists of a small mass called bob tied to a string. The other end of the string is tied to a fixed support. Okay, so simple pendulum has two parts to it. One is a heavy metal bob, okay, which is hung at the one end, and the other end is tied to a fixed support. The simple pendulum was first discovered by an Italian scientist, Galileo Galilei. He is very famous. Okay, he is also famous for his astronomical observation, his usage of telescope. Okay, he didn't discover telescope, but he was the first one to observe the sky with the help of telescope. Earlier days, telescope was used to keep an eye on the enemy. Okay, but he was the first one to make the use of telescope to watch the sky. And the discovery of pendulum is also because of him. It is only because of him that we started telling an accurate time. Okay, so simple pendulum is used to build the clocks, the early days. Nowadays we have a digital clocks and all sort of different thing, but still the main principle of working of the clock depends on this principle of pendulum. Next point, he discovered that if the mass hung from a fixed point is made to swing freely, it always complete one to and fro motion is at exactly same time. Okay, this movement is periodic. Okay, one complete to and fro movement. For example, a bob starts from point A, goes until point B, and again when it reaches to earlier point, which is point A, that becomes one oscillation. Now, what is amplitude? The maximum distance covered by which the bob moves away from its mean position is called amplitude. For example, this is a maximum point, it goes until here and again comes back here. So the total distance covered by it from moving from a maximum point to mean position, not until here, maximum point, and again it will go until a maximum point, and again it will come back to maximum point. But in between this, the distance covered from mean position to maximum point, that becomes amplitude. In the form of wave, if you want to show this is a mean position, so from mean position it goes until this point, so distance covered by from mean position to the maximum position, this distance is the amplitude. Here also this distance is the amplitude from mean position to maximum point. That becomes an amplitude. Then what is time period? The time taken by the pendulum for one oscillation is called time period of the pendulum. Okay, so time taken by the pendulum for completing one oscillation from here until here again, that becomes one time period. Okay, what is frequency? The number of oscillations per second is called frequency of the oscillation. I will repeat, number of oscillations per second covered per second is called frequency of the oscillation. Frequency is generally expressed in hertz and the symbol for it is Hz, which is hertz again. Okay, now we will do one activity. You have to take a metallic tumbler and a tablespoon. Okay, and what you have to do, strike the tablespoon gently at the brim of the tumbler. You will hear a sound. Okay, but here you have to strike the tablespoon gently. Okay, now you have to hear the sound. Okay, then next time what you have to do, now you have to bang the spoon on the tumbler. Here you have to bang it, not strike gently. Now bang it and hear the sound produced again. What you will find? You will find that the sound is louder now because the tumbler is struck hard. Why? Because you banged it with a greater amplitude, so the loudness increased. Okay, so this loudness is, it depends upon the amplitude. Loudness of the sound is proportional to square of the amplitude. For example, if you increase the amplitude twice, if it is x and if you make it 2x, then loudness will increase 4 times because it is square of amplitude. So 2 square is what? 4. So loudness will increase 4 times. Loudness is generally expressed in a unit called decibels. Now here there are some sources of sound. When you whisper in someone's ears, the sound, the loudness is 30 decibels. Normal conversation, like I'm now talking with you, the sound will be around 60 decibel, the loudness. In busy traffic, the loudness is more, it is 70 decibel. In a factory, for example, the loudness is 80 decibel. Now note that anything above 80 decibel is very harsh and it is physically painful. Okay, so you should never stay near the places where the loudness is more than 80 decibels because it is physically painful. Even this is not good, 70 and 80 decibel. 60 decibel, up to 60 decibel it is okay. Now what is homework? You have to solve few questions. Simple pendulum consists of small mass called dash, which is tied to a string. Then one complete to and fro movement of the pendulum is called dash. Then your third question is you have to define few things: amplitude, time period and frequency. So these are the things for today's assignment or homework, you can say. Solve it and let me know. Okay, you can start submitting after Friday. You can start submitting. Okay, if you have any doubt, you can ask me surely. You can put your comments in comment box. So next time we will be learning new topics from the same chapter, sound. Okay, so until then, take care. Bye bye.